All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the FloGrappling show here. Obviously, we got Big Reed. I'm Uncle Trey. Mixed it up on him this time, but not always do you do a podcast in front of a castle, a castle cast, if you will. You want to tell the people where we are right now?
I forget how to even pronounce it. What is it? Carafili?
Carafili? Maybe that was a little too Irish with it.
Carafili. This is I believe this castle behind us built in like the 13th century. So very, very old castle here. Incredible town. We're in South Wales, Carafili. Beautiful day here in South Wales. We just wrapped up Polaris 35 yesterday. Epic show. Team WNO versus Team Polaris. Great time. We had to kind of come out here and check out a little bit, of what Wales had to offer. And so we had to come check out a castle. And we're bringing you guys along with us. So hope you appreciate it.
We'll get into recapping the event and all that. I gotta ask, what's your favorite century for castles?
My favorite century for castles?
I've been dying to ask you, Reed.
13th century, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good here to me.
This is for sure one of the best centuries.
They got that leaning tower. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can they see it? Yeah, you guys can kind of see it.
Leaning at a steeper grade than the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Just beautiful, to be honest, here, and just an incredible castle. It's got this huge moat around the entire thing. So, one of the perks of the job, it's obviously we're living the dream out here. We get to do jiu-jitsu, travel the world, and see some of these incredible sights that the world has to offer. And this is just another example of it for sure.
Yeah. One problem though I do have with castles, deep if you look real far back into the Robinson ancestors and all that. I got a little Viking blood in me, and I see a castle, I want to take it. Like, I want to run that castle by daybreak. You know what I mean? It's just something in my genes, but I'll try to refrain.
No, I have a lot of ancestry from Cork, Ireland.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah. When we kind of mapped it all back, and when we went to Ireland, and I won the Irish Open. Back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But
people saying Reed doesn't compete.
Doesn't compete.
Yeah.
Irish Open champion here, brother. Mexico City.
How many Irish Open champions you guys know? I know one. And a bunch more if I just start thinking about it.
Yeah, Richie B probably.
Marcus Fallon, I assume. Dara. Probably Fionn probably won that one. Rosa Walsh, I assume.
Yeah, probably tons of them. Yeah, come to think of it.
But scoot this way a little. I think I'm casting a shadow.
Yeah. I was trying to catch that sun, and like I said, beautiful day here in Wales. The sun is setting. But Cork, Ireland, never been there. We went to Dublin, but I never got over to Cork.
Yeah.
But
I've always wanted to go to Dublin. I've been to Dublin. I want to go to Cork and Stab City. It's one of my favorite, which I think might be Cork. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking Slab City in California.
I want to go there too.
Yeah.
Let's get into just talking about Polaris. Obviously,
let's do it.
This was our first time at Polaris. Your first time as well, right?
Yeah, like I said, I kind of been talking about this all week and everything like that. It's I've been blessed to cover the sport of jiu-jitsu for the last 10 plus years and travel the world and get to go to Copa Podio and get to go to ADCC
all
and
the best events.
Kasai and obviously IBJJF Worlds and just kind of see some of the greatest jiu-jitsu events of all time and really feel privileged to be kind of mat side to see these athletes kind of accomplish their dreams at such big events and stuff like that. And obviously we've always watched Polaris from afar for a long time, but I've never actually been lucky enough to get out there and check it out. So obviously now Polaris back on Flow, and had to jump at the opportunity to see one of the best longest reigning super fight shows in the world. It's
expanded beyond just being one of the best shows in Europe. Like, it is just straight up, if you love jiu-jitsu and you're not watching Polaris, then boy oh boy do I have a treat for you. Polaris is incredible to watch. Like, go watch all the old events, go watch everything. Like, it's a sick show. Like, especially like all the people who have been on Polaris at this point in time, like Gary Paul Harris on Polaris? So it's like there's some like historic.
Yeah, one of the greatest jiu-jitsu matches of all time, really. In the pantheon of jiu-jitsu, Husamar Paul Harris versus Gary Tonin. I still go back and watch that match, like once a year or something like that. It's just a fun one. But and you really just have to commend all the guys who put together Polaris. We've seen so many jiu-jitsu events come and go over these last 10 years. It's hard. It is a very difficult thing. I don't think people quite realize how hard it is to run a niche sport show like a jiu-jitsu super fight show. And they've been doing it consistently for the last 10 years, and they've been doing it consistently. Just an incredible show, you know, and so shout out to all the tatami guys and the scramble guys. They've been doing some incredible work over the years, and I really can't commend them, enough for what they do, to be honest, because we run obviously WNO, and we get to see a lot of the behind the scenes of BJJ Stars and all the events, and it's hard. So for these guys to still be trucking along, still be putting on great shows, still showcasing the best European talent that's out there, it's just my hat's off to them for sure.
For sure. And so this one, it was an epic one to make its debut back on Flo. Team WNO going up against Team Polaris. Like, obviously a friendly brand versus brand type of thing, where we brought in some WNO guys, they brought in some Polaris guys, and had an epic squads kind of as the main event. And then also a couple sick super fights where I don't even think they meant to do this. We were asking them about it, and they were like, oh, I guess it is Australia versus Norway for the super fights, where it was Adele Fornarino versus Selma Vic, and then Levi Jones-Leary versus Davis Asari. Both not just Australians and Norwegians, but Australians that train together and Norwegians that train together quite often. So that was cool to see. But I guess where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about the squads, or you want to talk about the super fights?
Yeah, let's maybe just dive into the super fights first. Maybe just first off the bat, I was one of the big reasons why I wanted to come too, for sure, is to see Levi Jones-Leary. Yeah. Levi is just one of my favorites. He's just one of the most genuine, authentic people in jiu-jitsu. He lives the life that he says he does, and I just love talking with Levi. He has such a unique perspective on jiu-jitsu and the community and everything like that, and so I was really, really excited to see Levi. Obviously, I haven't seen him in a year plus, two years almost, I think.
Yeah.
And he's coming back against a young, hungry dude who's trying to make a name for himself. Davis Asari, obviously, he's been training out there with the Kingsway crew, really upping his game, and he's had some very impressive performances on at the ADCC trials and some other super fight shows and things like that. So I was really jacked to see Levi come back again. Yeah. But I don't know. What do you think of Levi's performance? You obviously got the victory.
Yeah, so obviously this was Levi's return since DJI 1, which is like, that's too long to go without Levi Jones-Leary on the mats, to see him out there competing. Like you said, Levi, one of my favorite competitors to watch. Just one of my favorite people in the world, to be honest. Just such an eccentric, wild dude who's just kind of doing his own thing. Like, I love watching his freestyle videos when he's just out, when he was in New York, just battle rapping people and stuff. It's like, this dude's wild, man. This guy's running side quests that people only dream of.
Yeah, it's just Adam too. We talk a lot about Adam. We love Adam too. And it's just these guys that just really have these unique perspectives and
just kind of doing their thing.
Yeah. I really appreciate that they're really able to kind of show who their authentic selves are through this art of jiu-jitsu. It's incredible.
Yeah, so the super fight format for Polaris is they've adopted the 3 5-minute rounds. And so basically it went to decision. We saw Levi and Davis do all 3 rounds. And basically each round I feel like was kind of the same. It came out Levi immediately pulling and kind of playing guard like he does, But then I think the more evolved version of Levi that we saw is his willingness to now kind of wrestle up or sweep off of his guard, use it to actually come up and then immediately get into a top game and some passing. His passing was incredible.
Yeah.
Watching Levi pass in this one, it was kind of, he would basically bid his time, throughout each round, get to it. It felt like he was getting to a certain time into the round, maybe 2 minutes left in the round or something, 3 minutes in, and then he would sweep, come on top, and then he just does this little knee shuffle pass where he kind of gets in between Davis's legs, or gets Davis's legs in between him, and then he just kind of shuffles his leg and then just floats over it.
Yeah.
And just boom. Now he's just right on the other side, kind of into almost like a knee on belly, close position, blocking off Davis's legs from retaining, and then kind of getting into a side control, and then I think he mounted, right? Did he mount?
Yeah. I think he mounted a couple times there, and I think I remember that third round he had a pat, just such smooth jiu-jitsu Levi has, and that third round I remember I believe he kind of did that. Yeah, he's really doing kind of like Murillo Santana kind of 101 passing. I feel like it really was sort of a passing clinic. I think if you're trying to work on your passing and things like that, especially obviously Nogi, you definitely got to watch this Levi Jones-Leary match, and he's got some incredible details. And I think it feels like a lot coming from Murilo Santana, and obviously he trained for a long time with Murilo Santana, now back in Australia training with Lachlan Giles and stuff like that. So I wasn't quite sure what we were going to see. We're going to see some Murilo stuff. We're going to see some locky locks and some leg locks and stuff. But you can tell that obviously Levi's been working a lot on his passing. And there was one in the third period where he kind of like windshield wipered over Davis's legs, like kind of past his knee. And I just like audibly was like, whew. Yeah. Ooh, so smooth, and just knowing how good Davis Asari is and everything like that, and it's just like, man, that was some smooth jiu-jitsu. That's what I love to watch. Yeah, it's just like buttery as can be. Like, it's the type of passing where it's like you just kind of like feel so low key, even though you're just kind of like dissecting someone's guard. Like, if you pull that off in the gym, I feel like that's one where dude's gonna be like, that was sick, dude. All right, you got me there. I couldn't do nothing about that. But, yeah, it was great seeing Levi come back. I thought he looked incredible, and he kind of talked beforehand about, like, he was going to show, like, more of his passing and stuff like that, and he kind of did that. So I think it really went to plan, and, I mean, hopefully, yeah, this is the spark of seeing a lot more Levi all over the place. Now he's the Polaris champion, so middleweight champion. So hopefully we get to see him, defend his belt against some fun names in the future here, and hopefully we see a lot more of Levi, because I just don't think we see enough of that guy, and jiu-jitsu needs personalities like him, so. Yeah. And so then the other super fight, Adele Fornarino versus Selma Vick. Yeah, we got to kind of move through this a little quick. The sun is setting kind of right behind us here. Behind the castle. Yeah. What are we doing on? Let me get up in here real quick. We bump this up. We're bumping it up. We're making some adjustments here on the fly. But that's what you get with a kind of a public podcast, Real. I'm trying to get one of these Welsh guys to walk by and get them on here. See what they thought. Yeah. See if they were cheering for Team Polaris or for Team WNO. But, you want to walk us through kind of the Adele match? It went 2 rounds before she got the submission? Went 2 rounds. Yep, absolutely. And, obviously, man, Adele is just on fire right now, and she's just submitting girls left and right, and she's really just kind of like really separating herself from the pack. But, that being said, I was impressed with Selma Vick. Obviously, I think it was a big step up in competition for her. But that first round was pretty close. I thought that Selma had some good looks and things like that. Adele did end up winning the first round, but I thought it was a very close round, and that Selma was, representing herself very, very well. And I was obviously it seemed like Adele was kind of trying to work some more passing, work some more top control. She's obviously known as a guard player, known as a leg locker. She's had some, extremely quick finishes on the legs, and it looked like she kind of wasn't really interested in that, maybe, for this match, and she wanted to kind of show off a little bit more of her top game and try to chase the back and try to get that finish from the back, which she ended up getting, and so, like I said, Selma put up a great fight, but it came down to kind of Adele taking the back towards the end and getting that rear naked choke finish, and just another incredibly impressive performance from Adele Fornarino. She's just on fire right now, and I can't wait to see her at ADCC again and everything like that. So, great performance from Adele. Definitely, yeah. It was, Adele's the best in the world right now for a reason. She kind of obviously comes out and just seems to dominate everybody at this point. Like, I think it's only really like Fionn that we've seen recently that she lost to or didn't even just completely dominate, So, I don't know. The world is Adele's oyster, I think. And I guess like a quick thing that I do want to address, because I feel like people are just going to be like, oh, address this, Adele had some stuff she wanted to say in the post-match interview. To be honest, all this stuff going on in the jiu-jitsu world, we don't know this information right now. Like, us personally, like, I don't know. I'm just hearing rumors and stuff, so it's not something I'm comfortable speaking on yet. I think Adele might know more, a little closer to it and stuff. Yep. If you want to hear the thoughts on that, then go watch her match. It's on our YouTube, and the post-match interview is on there as well. So, like, hear it from Adele. I think at this point in time, it makes more sense to hear it from her than for us to just talk on speculation and all that. And as we know more things and more things are solidified and everything, then, yeah, maybe we can talk on it. But I'm just not comfortable talking on it right now whenever I don't actually know any facts. But I recommend if you do want to hear that stuff, then go listen to her post-match interview. Like, we can't talk about it better than Adele can at this point in time. So just to address that. Absolutely. I just want to say that, I obviously just really appreciate that Adele is kind of using her gold medals and her status in the sport to really kind of try to make a change,
Yeah.
you know, and you got to really respect that. She's putting herself out there, and you know, who knows what's going to happen from here, but I think Adele is the person who you kind of want to be the spokesperson for our community,
Yeah.
you know, and especially for the women in jiu-jitsu. She's an incredible role model. So yeah, like Trey said, if you haven't seen her post-match interview thoughts, you know, it's really worth checking out and really just getting hip to what's going on here in the jiu-jitsu community. We all want this thing to be inclusive and inviting for everybody. You know, I truly believe that jiu-jitsu can change the world, and you know, we've all got to work at it together. And you know, I guess we'll leave it there. And like I said, go watch Adele's post-match interview. She definitely had some well-articulated thoughts, and she's going to be a thought leader in this time that we're in right now in jiu-jitsu for years to come, of course. And so I just appreciate what Adele is doing, and she's putting her neck out there, and she really wants to make a change, and I think it's warranted.
Yeah. And so now, as a visual transition of us moving into the squads matchup, I'm going to go backwards hat type of guy, and that's really to try and not block off your face as much in the sun. I'm struggling to not block you off.
Well, I said my hat was off to the Polaris guys, and you said me too, and so.
Oh shit! Oh, no.
So, but your hat was on, so.
Yeah, this is devastating.
We'll cut that part out.
Yeah, I'm gonna AI my hat off my head. I'm gonna have the sickest flowing hair, dude. But yeah, let's talk about the squads matchup, because we are fighting the sun right now. You know, you think you can beat the sun? You think you're stronger than the sun, dude? No chance.
Impossible.
But Polaris versus WNO, two stacked teams. All right, these teams were electric. I think to kick it off, I want to talk about the contrast in these teams.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can kick it off with kind of how it ended, because I did think the ending was like kind of epic. You know, it came down to like this last second thing. But just to start, man, you go into the warm-up area for Team Europe, or Team Polaris, a bunch of these European guys, a lot of London dudes, you know, Santieri was in the mix too, Lucas Kennard, you know. These boys are jokesters. I mean, these guys are just like, you walk into their warm-up area and just everyone's taking the piss out of each other, you know. Everyone's just like making jokes, and like I walk in and I'm like, hey Taylor, can I interview you? And he's just like cracking jokes, and he's like, oi mate, interview Christian Osbeck. Like all this British slang and stuff, you know. And then you go into the WNO team.
Very stark contrast to what the WNO team was doing. Obviously, WNO team is a little bit more. I mean, I guess there's the Australians. You know, it's like you can't really nail down the nationalities, but you know, the WNO team definitely felt like they were taking it a lot more seriously, you know, and they were really locked in and really focused, you know, and trying to drill backstage and get into their game and get into their flow and their zone, you know, and it was quiet and it was intense, you know, and then you would go over to the Polaris room and everybody's just messing around and just like making jokes with each other and stuff like that. Obviously, it seemed like those Team Polaris guys are real close to each other. A lot of them train together and stuff like that, so that they know each other really well. But it was really funny seeing the kind of disparity between the two, and even kind of going into it, I was like, ooh man, WNO looks locked in. Polaris boys, I think you guys kind of need to lock in a little bit more, because WNO is coming for blood, you know.
And boy, oh boy, is there egg on our feet. It turns out these Polaris dudes operate very well when they're being silly gooses. You know, this was a silly goose time for a Polaris team, and they got it done. Polaris ended up getting the win. I think they won 14-12. But the way that squads works is like you do 45-minute halves, and the clock is like counting up while the matches are going on. Similar to soccer, it just runs. And when it got to the second half, it ended up coming down to the next to last match was Santieri versus DeAndre Corby. Santieri beat Lucas Lira, right, to get the
sounds
win.
Right.
And then they sent out DeAndre. So I think we were down maybe two down 2 at that point. And
Or maybe just one. I think maybe it was like 10-11 or something, or 11-12 or something.
I guess it would have had to have been one. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a bit of a blur. You know, it was an intense show, you know, and it's like even being there mat side, you know, and obviously we were pulling a little bit for WNO. Honestly,
especially because once we rolled up and every single dude told us they want Polaris,
yeah,
I was like, okay, fine, I'm rolling with WNO for sure.
You know, honestly, at the end of the day, we just want to see good jiu-jitsu, you know, and that delivered. So, you know, hats off to the Polaris guys for taking the win.
It is fun to like back a team also, though, you know. So I was kind of like, okay, the Welsh crowd is all Polaris, and the Polaris guys are like, obviously we want Polaris. So I'm like, all right, I'll get behind my team too. Like, sometimes you're scared to like be like, no, I want this team to kill this team, but I was like, no, that's the vibe. Then just for funsies, obviously we like those guys a lot.
Yeah, we try not to like kind of openly root for people during matches and stuff.
We do it secretly.
Try to just let it play out.
But that next to last match, where if DeAndre was able to submit Santiri, they would get 3 points, putting us in the lead. Like going into like. What I think, like by the time that match ended, Santiri DeAndre, I think there was like a minute and a half left, or
like
something.
Like a minute 55 seconds or something, and it's 90 seconds. I think was like the cutoff to whether or not you get points. Like, for the winner and stuff.
And so it was intense, where it was like, oh my God, DeAndre can pull this off. And
I'm sitting there, Matt's side. The English guys are screaming, just don't get submitted, and we win. And it's like the clock's going, the points are there. I'm on the mat. You're kind of watching that clock, the bigger clock. The points. It was just like, oh, there's only 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left. Like it was kind of chaos there at the end, and we were just like, DeAndre, get the choke. Come on, you can get the choke. And obviously Santiri was able to get out, and DeAndre didn't get the choke, and that was kind of really the crux of the end of the whole team duels. Basically, it was like everybody was kind of really needing DeAndre to submit Santiri. Obviously, Santiri a lot bigger than DeAndre, and didn't work out. And then Taylor Perriman went out against DeAndre afterwards, and Taylor got that kind of 2-minute victory. It was a quick match.
I remember how the scoring was now. When it was going into DeAndre Santiri, we were down 2, and so he needed to submit him to put us ahead 1 with this last match, basically, as time would run out. But he didn't submit him, but he did win the match, so he got 1. That put us back only down 1 point going into the final minute and a half, Taylor versus DeAndre. Because if DeAndre could at least pull out the decision over Taylor, it would have tied, and they would have had to fight again.
Yeah,
they were both
that's right.
Captains.
That's
they would
right.
have to do another. They would then have to go into a super fight to decide the winner. But it was Taylor who was able to get the decision in that last one, which ended up putting them up 2 for the final score.
There you go.
That's how it played out. But any other just like, because we're running out of time, we can't go through everything, but any like big performances or takeaways from just like overall in the squads match?
I will say that I think the guy who really impressed me the most is Owen O'Flanagan. I just was so impressed with Owen, and we haven't seen a whole lot of Owen O'Flanagan. I know he just had that great match against Jonathan Gracie, where he was able to submit Jonathan Gracie, and that was definitely kind of like a light bulb, I think, in our minds, where it's like, whoa, nobody submits Jonathan Gracie. Nobody takes him down and passes his guard and submits him. Like, that just doesn't happen really to Jonathan Gracie. Mika Galval couldn't really do that. So the fact that Owen was able to do that, it was like, whoa, maybe Owen is really kind of starting to kind of like, turn over that hump to be like extremely elite. Obviously I know he's one of the best grapplers in the UK here and has been for a little while, but now
he's an ADCC medalist.
Yeah.
But
and
it just felt like it was like, oh, okay. Even as an ADCC medalist, as a guy that like, a lot of people do know and is notorious now, it's like, this guy's underrated. This guy needs to be in the talks of like, that upper echelon of like all the grapplers in the world, like, and just like the fact that he was so good at wrestling.
I was so impressed. Crazy. I was so impressed with his wrestling, and not that really anybody on Team WNO. I mean, I think DeAndre probably has the best wrestling maybe on Team WNO, but it just felt like any time anybody was on the feet with Owen, he just was kind of 2 steps ahead. The way he was, the way he was just kind of crowding their head and faking to the legs and faking to the upper body. It really kind of, I feel like, messed up the kind of flow of the WNO team, because they were expecting him maybe to pull guard and just attack the legs and stuff like that. But his wrestling was so impressive, and he maybe hit one of the craziest takedowns I've ever seen on Lucas Lira. I was like inches from the takedown, and
maybe if we download the clip off Polaris' Instagram and show it, because it was like, that was crazy. They spun like 4 times, and then Lucas Lira just direct face to mat. Like, it was like a little bit of a scary, like, oh my God, is he going to be okay? We talked to Lucas afterwards. He was like, no, I'm good. I was definitely like in the moment, but I'm good.
He said he was all right afterwards and everything like that. And Owen did getting the submission on Lucas Lira, got the submission on Declan Moody. Things are a little different. These guys are, some guys are tired. I think Declan had done 2 matches or 1 match before, and Lucas as well. So, things are a little different, but that makes it fun. fun. It does make the opportunity for submission a little bit more prevalent. But just again, I was so impressed with Owen O'Flanagan, and I told him after, man, just sick jiu-jitsu, dude.
Yeah.
Just sick, just like submission first jiu-jitsu. So I was really, really impressed with him. I really hope we get to see a lot more of this dude in the future. It seems like he's not traveling a whole lot, but hopefully he does, because I think Owen has all the tools to be ADCC champion or whatever he wants to be honest. Like that's some of the sickest jiu-jitsu I've seen this year.
Yeah, and then another, I feel like, big moment, maybe like the biggest like swing for Team Polaris, kind of probably contributed to them winning. Like Owen, I think he might have had a couple submissions for sure. He ended up, getting the team trophy for most valuable grappler.
Oh, no, Flanagan? Or? Yeah.
They gave it to him.
Yeah.
But then Owen Jones, he ended up coming out and submitting Devontae, which gave him 3 points as like the size discrepancy. And worth noting that even Owen and all of the Polaris team, they admitted that Owen came out there and got him at 1 HP. Devontae had done a couple matches and was obviously tired and just had some hard-fought matches, racked up a couple points for WNO, kind of like did his job. I was like, that's what I wanted from Devontae right there. Come out. Don't let these guys push you around, Devontae. Throw them into a damn table, dude. Show what a little bit of American grit tastes like, And he did that, but then Owen caught him at 1 HP, just kind of came in after basically this dude's been in dogfights and just kind of like,
Yeah, Owen was all...
toppled him over there when he was already falling off the cliff, but...
Owen smelled blood in the water, and he was all... Yeah, he was hustling, man, and he was on the back early, and Devontae got out, and then he got the back again, and it was just like, oh, man, like, yeah. Owen is just all over Devontae, and you could just see, like, every moment that passed, Devontae was just losing HP as it went, and then he sat back on the legs there.
Their whole corner was hilarious. Mainly their corner was just telling the other guy to admit that they're tired, just kind of joking with the WNO guy who's out there, just trying to get in their head. But their corner was just like, and they also are so casual whenever they said everything. They'd be like, hey, Owen, if you feel like it, man, you could backstep into the legs and probably submit him there. And then he just did that. I was like, oh, my God, all right. These guys are so goofy. They're so, like, they just joke about everything, don't have a care in the world. And they're just so good at jiu-jitsu as well. I'm like, that almost isn't fair, They just be, like, the biggest goofballs. And I say that with respect, Like, I'm a goofball myself. Listen, I'm a silly goose. I've had to jump in the water a few times as a silly goose. And but I'm also just not that good at jiu-jitsu. The world was like, you can't do it all, Trey. You can't make jokes and be that good. But I guess these guys just operate under a different world. But I think overall it was sick though, and I thought Team WNO did great. It was great. Declan came out there. Chris Wojcik, looked awesome. So really, it was just like a fun time overall.
Yeah.
It's like fun to do these kind of like little collaborative things. It feels like it builds like some camaraderie in a weird way, whether it be for the promotions or the athletes and all that. So it was definitely a good time. I'm a big fan of Polaris squads, and I thought it was a sick event overall.
Yeah, great event. And, shout out, Declan got, I believe he submitted Mayrum. He had some impressive matches. I think, the team was really, really hoping for Declan to kind of put the team on his back a little bit, I feel like, being one of the bigger guys and kind of one of the guys who's just surging right now. So Declan had some impressive performances. Chris Wojcik, I thought, looked great. Came
a little wrestle up kind of sweep thing, pass to mount on Owen O'Flanagan. So he looked good.
Yeah,
definitely showing he's been adamant about not wanting to show or wanting to prove to people that he's not just like a leg lock guy. That's all he can do. Like this dude does have go back and watch Chris Wojcik versus Cody Steele. That's one of the craziest examples of wrestling and scrapping in jiu-jitsu. So I think he wanted to showcase that a little bit, and I feel like he did. So
Yeah. Always great to see the Corby brothers out there, and Devontae is such a good dude, and it was just fun kind of once we got into it, and it's just like, oh smokes, it's Chris Wojcik versus Mayrum up next, and it's Gavin Corby versus Lucas Kennard up next, and I guess
Lucas Kennard, all-time unpassable guard.
I do want to mention Lucas Kennard,
nuts,
man. Like his guard is too good. Like it's crazy.
This guy might have broken the system because it's just like and talking to the Polaris team guys, like they even said like Yeah, bro, when you have Lucas Kennard, you can send him out there and no one is going to pass him. It's impossible. So basically how we use Lucas to game this a little bit is we send Lucas out, no one can pass him. He can, get deep on some legs enough to win the decision, and then boom, we just ran off 25 minutes on the clock. It's true.
100%.
Ultimate, if you have Lucas Kennard on your squad in this format, he's going to get those decision wins, because it's just not only can no one pass him, it never looks like anyone even has a look at passing.
It's so dangerous to try to pass his guard. He really has kind of broken the system a little bit here, where it was just I think it really kind of messed up WNO's strategy a little bit, because it was just after he won 1 or 2 or whatever, it was just man, who can pass this dude's guard? Who can have a shot at passing this dude's guard? And it was just man, it's hard to tell. But you do got to shout out Lucas Leary for kind of being the Lucas Kennard killer there, and he did beat Lucas Kennard in both halves, by decision. So luckily, Team WNO was able to find an answer to kind of this insane puzzle that is Lucas Kennard.
Yeah.
Shout out Lucas Leary. He had some impressive matches, I thought, there, and really took some heat for Team WNO by just kind of pushing Lucas Kennard's ankles into his face for 5 minutes basically. And
yeah, and then the one last thing I want to just say about Taylor Perriman too, specifically. Taylor Perriman, obviously an extremely good leg locker, just good overall game. Taylor Perriman's ability to kind of get into I guess deep De La Hiva type of positions, probably some more nuanced version of a Nogi De La Hiva guard that I'm just, I guess, not as good at talking about or identifying, but then able to just constantly off balance people. I feel like he was just he's so sticky whenever he gets his legs connected, and the way he plays that guard, the guy trying to pass is just once he gets in there, they never have their balance back. Just a incredible display of just constant off balancing, breaking posture, and just making the guy put his hands on the mat, So I thought Taylor looked great as well. He was a team captain, representing.
Really, all those guys on Team Polaris just have fun jiu-jitsu, just have fun to watch jiu-jitsu. Taylor, the Owens, Santiri, they really just have kind of dynamic, fun jiu-jitsu. So,
luckily, if you guys are into that, I know I am. ADCC Euro Trials is coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, I think.
So definitely a good time if you want to watch more of these guys, then they're going to be competing at trials.
Yeah, just a fun time in European Jiu-Jitsu. We just had the IBJJF European Championships where we saw a lot of great Jiu-Jitsu. You have Polaris, and then 2 weeks from now you have the European Trials. So if you like European Jiu-Jitsu, if you like these guys, you get an opportunity to watch them on Flow quite a bit.
And so, one last thing. I haven't added up the scores yet, but we did do a little bit of a draft,
Oh, I totally forgot.
To see who could draft our own teams of 6 out of all 12 of the competitors. And I like my chances on this one. I gotta run the numbers.
All right,
I gotta get ChatGPT to do the math for me. But
all right, we'll check that out on next podcast, because I honestly forget who I even picked. Yeah. But
I just know that I ended up with a lot of Polaris guys, and you ended up with a lot of WNO guys.
I feel like I picked one of the Owens though. At least one of the Owens.
I think you might have gotten Owen O'Flanagan, which would be huge. But I think I have Owen Jones, who got a 3-piece for me. But I don't know. We'll do the math. You guys stay tuned, because that'll come soon. But any last closing thoughts before we get out of here? Sun's kind of setting. I don't even know if they're going to be able to see us at this point.
Yeah, a little dark. No, I think before the sun sets, we got to go check out this castle a little bit, walk around, and make sure we get a good lay of the land here. So, yeah, no, I think we can wrap this up. But great event. I believe they have another one here coming up in March.
Yep.
So, it's going to be live on Flow. So definitely get hip to this Polaris stuff, man. It is hype jiu-jitsu, and they're not going anywhere.
Definitely. So thank you guys for tuning in. Go check out all the Polaris matches, the replays on FloGrappling, and stay tuned, because we got a lot of other cool stuff coming up soon. But we'll see you guys in the next episode.